we're not live, let me know. We're having a little brain fuel this morning. Check it out, brainfuel.com. Use code POKERCOACHING to get 15% off. This is good stuff. Has a solid amount of natural caffeine to get you going right at the start of the day. Shot in the arm that lasts all day, unlike every other energy drink. Well, most other energy drinks. Who knows if any of you are here? We'll see. We're trying on a new setup. XSplit was messing up my recordings. Would you believe that? Today, Sharks, we are going to have an Ask Me Anything. So ask me anything. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm happy to discuss it. Why does everything look a little blurry? Let's take notes on that. Try to get this thing to stop being blurry. Whoa. Whoa. Ray says all good. All good. Good, 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 Ray. I'm glad we are all good. You love bananas. I like bananas too. Did you know whenever I used to play a trumpet back in the day, you would have to eat 3 bananas before you go to play a trumpet solo, because the potassium in the bananas, they claim, would make your lips not swell up, which would result in you playing better. I look terrible on my face. I have face issues. I have bumps on my face. You'd think I'd be a little bit too old to have bumps on my face. But apparently not. Doctor says I have bad skin. Hope my kids don't have bad skin. Kind of unlucky. It's not that bad, I suppose. Such is life. It's like I'm a teenage boy. We have bananas on our shirts and problems with our face. Good morning, Sensei. Hello, hello. Lots has been going on in the poker world. Dan Negreanu is going to play Phil Hellmuth heads up in about 2 weeks. It was supposed to be tomorrow. It was supposed to be tomorrow. But it got delayed because of COVID. COVID delays everything, am I right? Everything's being delayed. I mean, let's get real. Most heads up matches are close to 50-50-ish, right? That said, I think if there is a format that benefits Phil Hellmuth, this is it. Heads up, sit and go type format. If he kind of takes his time, kind of goes slow, he'll get out of the deep stack spots where Negreanu has studied heavily. And he'll do his Phil Hellmuth white magic. Current betting line, I think Negreanu's supposed to win like 58% of the time or something like that. I think it's probably more like 55. I think Negreanu's a little bit of a favorite. It's funny how whenever you say, I think I would bet on Phil Hellmuth, but I think Negreanu is going to win, you piss off both of them. Actually, I probably don't piss off both of them. They both know math. What do I think of Phil Hellmuth's strategy? Just to be Phil? Yeah, man, just be Phil. Just be Phil. I know that sounds a little bit crazy to say, get rid of the GTO type mindset. But whenever you're playing live poker, you can make really, really good reads on people. And Phil Hellmuth may be the best at making good reads. And obviously, Negreanu's really good too. Negreanu's A+ as well, right? But, I mean, I don't know. We'll see what happens, right? I don't think either player is just going to, super own the other player. Because, that said, maybe Negreanu just will. Maybe Negreanu's going to maximally exploit. Who knows? We'll see in about 2 weeks. When should you get involved in multi-way all-ins and tournaments? When you have the proper equity. When you have the proper equity, simple as that, right? Like, say someone shoves, someone calls, and you have ace-jack offsuit. You're not going to win 33% of the time. How do you know? You pull up Equilab. Pull up Equilab, run it. Don't know if I can do that easily here. Let me see. No, I'm not even going to try. I was going to say, I'm on a new program, so I don't know if I can necessarily pull up this. Is this match live on PokerGo? That will be live on PokerGo, yes. But essentially, you want to make sure that you have the correct odds to call whenever you're in an all-in. If you raise, or let's say someone raises, you 3-bet. Someone else goes all in, and then the other player calls. Now you only need to win, 28% of the time or something, right? That said, you're going to be against a strong 4-betting range, which will, in turn, put you in much worse shape, right? Let's see. Can you explain the difference between range connectivity and range advantage? Range connectivity... Well, so range advantage just means you run your range against your opponent's range in Equilab, see which works. Or see which has the most equity, right? And if you have more equity, you have the range advantage. Range connectivity kind of it's the idea that some boards are going to connect way better with your opponent's range to the point that it's obvious that they are going to continue with a lot of hands. Like on Queen Jack 9. Queen Jack 9 is a board where your opponent's going to have pretty good range connectivity. Because if they have a 9 or a Queen or a 10 or a Jack, right? If they have any piece of that board, they're not going to fold to any bet, right? So in spots like that, you typically want to be betting bigger. On boards like Queen 6-2, where the opponent's range is going to be a whole lot of very weak hands, like Ace High, King High, under pairs, right? In that scenario, your opponent's range connectivity is very bad, and that's typically when you want to be betting smaller. So high range connectivity, you often want to bet big. High range connectivity for your opponent, you often want to bet big when you are betting. Lower range connectivity, you typically want to be betting smaller. We discussed this thoroughly in the tournament masterclass, so check that out. There's a whole section on that. Which poker sites do I recommend for tournaments? That's always a tough question. Are you in America or no? If you're not in America, I would recommend Poker Stars, Party Poker, and GG. They have lots and lots of volume, more volume than you could want. If you're in America, I typically don't recommend any of the sites that operate in America because most of them do it very illegally. That said, ACR has the most volume. I actually don't really want to play on any of the American sites because the tournaments go really late. Like if you make deep runs, you're going to be playing until like 6 or 7 a.m., which I definitely do not enjoy. That said, some people don't care. Obviously, don't keep significant money in illegal, unlicensed, unregulated gambling sites. That does not seem like a wise decision. Ken says, you tried the citrus brain fuel. Is that the one I'm having? I'm having peach mango right now. Hopefully it's enjoyable to you. To be fair, 360 milligrams of coffee is not, or of caffeine is not a little bit, but ideally this lasts you throughout the whole day. It releases very slowly. Is this heads-up style going to be the future of poker broadcasts? What do you mean heads-up style? Not sure what you mean by heads-up style. Oh, you mean, is this going to be the future of poker shows? Yeah, maybe. I mean, look, in reality, I think everyone's bored, everyone's stuck at home, everyone's stir-crazy, everyone wants to fight, everyone has an opinion, they want people to hear their opinions, they can't tell the 10 people at the poker table because there are no live poker tables, or way fewer than normal, therefore they spout it out on the internet. Some people enjoy to fight. Some people don't enjoy fighting, and the people who enjoy fighting are going to fight. The people who don't enjoy fighting are going to sit back and laugh at them, right? All right. Stu, if you're ever having problems with the charts, let us know. They were working for me earlier today. Do we need to always 5-bet pocket queens? No. No. You're enjoying getting my text messages. Good. We have a new texting service where we're sending out, hand quizzes, strategy advice, etc. You can send me an email, support@pokercoaching.com if you want to get in on that. I'm sure there's some URL that I can't recall off the top of my head. Ray said you tried online tried live on the first time at MGM National Harbor. You did well. Good. Glad to hear it. Michael, glad to hear our support team's doing a good job. Thanks for adding so much value. Yeah, the way you benefit the world is to add more value than you take. That's really it. Add lots of value. And the cool thing about the internet is you don't even have to add lots of value, but if you add a little bit of value to lots of people, they will reward you, right? Imagine each one of you pays me $1. Well, I have a bunch of dollars, right? And you can benefit the world in any sort of way. Like, think about whatever hobbies you have. Let's say you like Beanie Babies, right? Make a Beanie Baby YouTube channel. You'll get paid some money if you're good, right? If you add value, if people like your content, or if you like Pogs, or if you like silver bars, or if you are a doctor or a lawyer or a hamburger maker or a whatever you are, you can make content about that. And if people enjoy it, because you're presumably adding value, then that'll do really well. I would definitely recommend most channels either try to entertain or educate. We try to mostly educate here. A little bit of entertainment. So anyway, get out there and add value. Thanks for the little brain fuel. You're welcome. How long do you think people will be able to keep making money off poker? I think poker is going to remain profitable for a very long time. We discuss this a lot. All you have to do to win at poker, 3 things. Find a game you can beat, play it a lot, and keep a proper bankroll. How long will you be able to find a game you can beat? Well, you can do a few things to do that. You can increase your skill level, right? You can do that by studying. Check out pokercoaching.com/lucky. We're having a St. Patrick's Day sale going on right now. Ends in about a day or two. Check that out at pokercoaching.com/lucky. We have loads of great content. One of our coaches, Bert Stevens, just overtook for the 4th time in his career the #1 online tournament player in the world ranking. Absolute crusher. I'm glad that he is streaming for the Poker Coaching Premium members. I love his streams. I watch all of them. I learn a lot. I mean, he sits there. He guarantees a final table every time he streams for us. He sits down and he wins tournaments. We posted a stream highlight on YouTube recently where he won an $800 tournament while streaming. And I'm telling you, he does it every time. The time before that, he took second place in a $2,500 tournament. He got to the final table like last in chips. Took second. Pretty good result. So anyway, how long will poker remain profitable? I think the highest stakes always get tougher and tougher and tougher, right? That said, I was talking to my wife about this yesterday, about how, if I had to go and only play poker and I wanted to not, grind myself crazy, I'd probably make, $150K, $200K a year. I think it's hard to get rich playing poker nowadays. I mean, filthy rich, no. I think the days of making $1 million a year are gone for the majority of people unless you have very good connections or you figure out a way to cultivate good connections. That said, I know you can make $100 an hour. I have plenty of students who are playing live cash games, just absolutely crushing 5-10, making $100 an hour, which comes out to about, $20,000 a month, $30,000 a month, depending on how hard you want to grind. Solid $200K a year, right? So even if that gets halved, you'll still be able to make $100K a year. So it'll last a while. Is that app called Equilab? It's a program on a computer. It's not an app. So search Equilab on Google and it'll come up. Who do you have on Negreanu versus Helmuth? I have nobody on that one. I made a video on YouTube about it. Go check that out. Did it come out yet? I think the video came out already. What big blind per 100 should you aim for? As high as possible? 10, 12, I don't know. Something like that at the smallest stakes. If your opponent 4-bets all in, is there a standard range you should be calling with? Yes. We have have GTO charts at pokercoaching.com. I'm going to pull up my chart on my phone. Let's see. GTO preflop charts. Go to cash game, 100 big blinds. We raise, they 3-bet, we 4-bet. No, so they raise, we 3-bet. So we need to be, let's say, button versus 4-bet from hijack. Well, so this depends on their size. Let's see, versus 4. So you're actually not supposed to be 4-betting all in cash game, so there is no answer to that. If your opponent makes a giant shove, though, so say they raise to 2.5 or 3, you make it 10, they make it 100. If I had to guess, probably aces, kings, queens, ace, king, maybe jacks. Enjoyed the Brad Wilson webinar yesterday. Great. Check it out if you have not already. It's on youtube.com. Last time you didn't 5-bet pocket queens and your opponent showed up with king 10 suited, you believe if you did re-raise, you would have generated a lot of folds. But if he jams, you're in a terrible spot. How to coop? Well, be happy playing against the king 10. Flop over pairs and don't fold. Flop over pairs and don't fold. At what stack should we stop defending our big blind wide versus late position steals? We have a good hand for defending, but not enough to... you can defend for down to, no big blinds. You can defend very, very short. I thought you were actually asking, how deep should you be, right? Because you should start playing tighter as you get deeper. As you get shallower, though, you just have very good equity realization, meaning you flop a pair, you just get in. Why do you hate Zoom so much? I don't hate Zoom at all. I've played a whole bunch of Zoom, Fast Forward, etc. poker. Hard Rock's having a big tournament next month. Will you go to defend your title? I don't have a title. I have this title from a random 2K or something. But no, I'm not going to go because of COVID. That's correct. Actually, would I go anyway? I don't know if I would go anyway. I do want to go back to Hard Rock, though. Hard Rock's a great place. It's a lot of fun there. I say it's a great place. It's a fine place, but I hear they have a new hotel here. It's very fancy. Where did I get that shirt? I got this shirt from a company called Saxx, S-A-X-X. They should be paying me to wear this, huh? You may think, due to the ridiculousness of this banana shirt, that they paid me to wear it. But you'd be wrong. It's the opposite. They make underwear for men. They have a little sack for your sack. It's good. Very comfortable. These are very, very soft. They're made of, I think, spandex and cashmere. They're nice. I like it. I like it very much. Let's see. Who won the Poker Coaching Sit and Go? I think the final episode of that is today. I think it premieres today at 8 p.m. Check that out. I'm not going to spoil it for you. Monkey, no, I'm not going to pull up random charts right now. When you get vaccinated, will you start playing live again? Yes. How bad is it to be 4-bet bluffing while playing deep stacked? Not bad at all if you're doing it with a balanced strategy. I was on the cover of Card Player. Yeah. That's me. Pretty fun to be on the cover of Card Player. This is actually the 3rd time I've been on the cover of Card Player. Do I have the other 2 over here? I do. Wait. Is this right? Here we go. From a long time ago. Look at that goofy hair. And that weird Photoshop photo. This is from 2007. This one, here we have another issue. It was on the cover of Card Player. This is from 2016. Took me 9 years to get on the cover for a second time. Would you believe that? This one's from 2021. There you go. Check it out. I posted a link to the article, actually, on my Twitter a while back. You can find that. You'd like to see some cash game database reviews. All right. You found out you were vaccinated. You found out that you were vaccinated. What? How'd you do yesterday? Online, I've been having a few rough runs. I've been cashing for more buy-ins than I buy in for every day, but I've been cashing in the small tournaments and losing the big tournaments. It doesn't work out so well whenever that happens. Oh, goodness. How do you play pocket jacks at very stacked depths when facing a 4-bet? I'm going to pull up the chart. Just said I wasn't going to pull up random charts, now here we are. Versus 4-bets. So say low jack raises, we 3-bet the button. Button 4-bets, we call. How do I know? 100 big blinds deep? It's not going to focus, is it? Come on, can you focus, please? Camera's not going to focus. All right, well, anyway. Pull up the charts. I mean, they're right there in the charts, right? 150 big blinds deep, same spot, you call. 200 big blinds deep, you call. You call. 100 big blinds, 150 big blinds, 200 big blinds. Is there any hope for an immature 15-year-old who is actually pretty good at poker and can beat most stakes, but has trouble recovering from tilt? I presume you're asking for your child. Yes. All of us start off idiots for the most part. Most of us do not start off with good, strong mindsets. That said, you have to realize that tilting does not help you with anything at all. It's harmful to you. Why do you want to throw your money in the garbage? Every time you go on tilt, you take your hard-earned money, some amount, you take some money, and you throw it in the garbage. You do it over and over and over and over and over. And it turns out if you throw enough money into the garbage, you're going to be left with no money. So you must stop tilting immediately. Do you want to throw all your money in the garbage? No. Are you a baby? No. You're 15 years old. Well, your child's 15 years old. And you got to act like an adult is what it amounts to. I realize there are a bunch of immature children in the poker world. But that's a good thing for the people who are not immature children. One thing I wish the poker world would do is grow up a bit. There's been a lot of talk about just like straight idiocy in the poker world over the last few days on Twitter, and it's like actually depressing to someone who wants poker to be a legitimate, respected thing. And to have all the nonsense happening is depressing to me. What advice would I give to an Indian player playing poker winning 9 big blinds per 100 compared to an IT job for $800 per month? I mean, 80 NL. So I'm kind of confused about the actual, like, what does 80 NL mean? Is this 40 cent, 80 cent? Are you converting to dollars or something? I don't know how much money that is per month you're making. Typically, what I would recommend to people, if you have a good sample size and you know you can win about 2 times the salary that you would be able to make from a job, 2 times, it's probably okay to give it a good shot, assuming you have a decent sample. That said, there's nothing wrong with keeping your IT job, working 40 hours a week, and then playing poker 20 or 30 hours per week. And then do that for like 4 or 5 or 8 months. Build up a big bankroll. Prove to yourself that you've consistently won over 4 or 5 or 8 months. And then quit your job, right? And ideally, you want to be making substantially more from playing poker than you do from a job, because at your job you have security, right? Like, you can show up next month and make $800 again to some extent, unless you get fired. Also, you probably have some sort of expenses paid, right? Like, maybe you get expenses paid, maybe you don't. Anyways, it's like way more secure, right? And there's a lot of value in that. That said, there's a lot of value in playing poker too. So if you don't care about security whatsoever, then feel free. All right. using a stage 3 trial with that company. Oh, cool. So Kevin did not know if he got vaccinated, but maybe he did. Well, that's cool. Am I allowed to ask what they pay for something like that? I'm always curious. Was it one of the challenge trials where they give some people they give everybody... There's things called challenge trials, which there's actually some talk about whether or not this is ethical or not. I think it's perfectly ethical, but I'm slightly more aggressive than a lot of people. Basically, they take a bunch of people, let's say 100 people, and they give them all COVID. Okay? We're going to get 100 people who sign up to this. We're going to pay them money for this. We're going to give them all COVID, and we're going to give some of them vaccine A, some of them vaccine B, maybe vaccine C, D, E, whatever, and then some of them nothing. And we're going to see how they react. Is that ethical to knowingly give 100 people COVID? And in Jonathan Little's mind, which may or may not be correct, and you may disagree with, it's okay, I think that's perfectly valid. You should be able to pay people to do pretty much whatever they want. If people want to get paid to get shot up in a rocket ship to go to outer space, that's fine. If they want to go deep sea fishing, where some people get killed going deep sea fishing, that's fine. If they want to work in hospitals, where some people get viruses, that's fine. As long as they're compensated. And to be fair, it's tough because what is fair compensation for such a thing? But think about how much money COVID cost just America, right? Imagine we gave 100 people $1 million each to get COVID and go through this test. We would have the vaccine proven, presumably. And it would cost us $100 million, plus the country would have been shut down for a week. We can get the vaccines out in about a week or two after the virus happens instead of many, many months, about a year after the virus started. And get back to normal kind of quickly. Is that ethical? I think it's ethical, but then again, who knows? Is the shark story in Ship It Halabala's book true? Where the guy jumped in the shark tank? Absolutely, I was there. I'll sum it up for all of you. We were at the PCA. I must have been 22 or something. It was me and a few other well-known poker players. I think the book mentions... I don't know what the book mentions. There's a book called Here Comes the Ship at Halabalas. My name's Fiery Justice in there. Other people in the book include Good to See You, Andrew Roble, Dave Benefield, Raptor, Tom Dwan, Phil Galfond, a bunch of other people. Anyway, there was one night, we were at the Atlantis. There was a shark tank that you could jump in if you felt inclined. You should not feel inclined to jump in the shark tank. There's a water slide that goes through a shark tank. The water slide is enclosed, and the sharks are around it in an aquarium, but the aquarium on the top is open. Go figure. At a children's park, right? So anyway, some of us paid a guy some money to jump into the shark tank and come out. This is what young, dumb kids do when they're idiots, okay? Don't do that today. Don't do that today. Don't be an idiot. Anyway, he succeeded. He jumped in the shark tank, got out. Sharks were about to get him as he got out of the water. Turns out, we learned later, the sharks don't actually eat humans. They eat other things. They were just investigating him, most likely. Anyway, he got his money on full tilt. Played on full tilt, heads up against Mike Mattisau. And he immediately lost the money to Mike Mattisau. He got it all in with ace-king against twos. Mattisau somehow got it in for 100 big blinds with pocket twos. Pocket twos win. Guy jumped to the shark tank to have the experience of losing a flip to Mike Mattisau. So anyway, true story, I was there. You can start playing in 3 months. Your plans to learn after that membership. I mean, look, in reality, go through the fundamentals course at pokercoaching.com/fundamentals. Read Mastering Small Stakes and No Limit Hold'em. Start playing tiny stakes. Play tiny stakes. If you have a small bankroll, what's better for growing? Spin and goes, cash games, or sit and goes? Probably cash games, but I don't know. You saw my pokerography on Poker Go. Glad to hear it. Check out jonathanlittlepoker.com/pokerography. It's a biography about my life. There's been too much idiocy going on lately, correct. Do you play cash online or only tournaments? Both, but not a ton of cash online. I don't think there's a ton of money to be won at the high stakes in cash online. Unless you are literally one of the best players in the world, which I am not one of the best players in the world. When I say one of the best players in the world, I mean the top 30 that's devoted your whole life to getting good at that exact format, and I have not done that. I used to be one of the best sit and go players in the world way back in the day, and I made a bunch of money from it. But sit and go's kind of died, so there goes your game. When you win all the money, the game goes away. What's my standard play versus early position limpers when you have low pocket pairs? Lent behind. I lent behind a lot. Probably more than most people. I'm very happy to see flops, assuming the game is not raked highly. Was Amy impressed that I'm on the cover of Card Player? Amy expects me to do very well. How about that? $125 per visit for them to track your blood draws. Okay. Kevin, did they actually give you COVID, or did they just give you something like... Okay, so here 33% got vaccine, or 66% got vaccine, 33% got placebo. Did they give you COVID or no? If they gave you COVID, I think they should be paying you a lot of money. If they didn't give you COVID and they're just like giving you the vaccine or not giving you the vaccine, then sure, right? You should be happy to get the vaccine, maybe, right? Which standalone course on the side do I recommend for cash game players? The Cash Game Masterclass. You can buy the Cash Game Masterclass individually if you'd like. That said, I would just recommend signing up for Poker Coaching Premium, binging it, and then canceling after a month if you are concerned about money. It's going to be well worth it. Same question. We're chip leader by about 1.4 in 6 max final table. You are in the big blind with queens. Player's second position raises 2x. You raise in big blind, opponent jams. Yeah, don't fold. If you're 3-betting the queens, don't fold. Do you have any plans to be a guest on God's Big Toes and Crazy Six's stream? I enjoy their stream very much. The problem is it happens noon Eastern time on Saturday, and that is exactly when I'm hanging out with my kids. Weekends are pretty devoted to hanging out with my children and my wife. So do I have any plans on being on it? Probably not, but I definitely enjoy their show. If my kids are ever out of town, maybe if ever I'm out of town on Saturday and I'm not busy, then I'll definitely hop on. What are my thoughts on counting cards playing blackjack? It's a lot of effort for a small edge. Is there any truth to no gamble, no future? Well, what is gambling, right? I think a lot of people don't realize that whenever you get up and go outside, you're gambling because you can get hit by a car and die. That's a pretty big gamble, right? You could just sit in your house all day and do nothing. Won't get a whole lot done. Maybe you can get some stuff done, who knows? Do you trust the vaccine? I trust medical professionals. I am not someone who is I'm not overly skeptical to some extent. Living after the vaccine is not guaranteed. Living after anything is not guaranteed. Where do you start with Poker Coaching Premium? What game are you trying to learn? Cash games, tournaments, etc. You have to realize Poker Coaching Premium has a lot of content. It's essentially meant to be like an encyclopedia, so you can find the answer to anything you want. That said, we do have courses on specific things like cash games, tournaments, etc. So make sure you check those out. Last high-stakes cash game, 400, 800, they doubled the blinds. Helmuth sold 50% of his action to a few of the people. What are my thoughts on this? People can do whatever they want in cash games. People can do whatever they want in cash games. What year was that at the PCA? It must have been like 2007, 8, 9, 6, somewhere in there. I don't know. When do you think I'll play live poker next? June or July. I have word that there'll be a good tournament series happening. There'll be a bunch of 10K and 25K MTTs happening. Probably. That said, COVID happens, things get delayed, so who knows when I'll actually play again. Do you think you can still find leaks in your game? Yeah, for sure. I don't play perfectly. It's hard to find the right bluffs in a lot of spots. It's hard to find the right slow plays in a lot of spots. Short stacked, always improving short stack. Turns out there's always room to improve. Basically, you just have to keep studying scenarios, right? Let's see. How should you work on your bankroll if your first time playing live goes wrong? Well, you should not be playing well out of your bankroll. Read jonathanlittlepoker.com/bankroll, please, and make sure you're playing properly bankroll. That said, if you're young, realize you can start with like $50 and play tiny stakes online. That's what I did. Start with $50. And I can afford at least this bookshelf, which costs more than $50 today. Look at that. We've at least quadrupled our money and spent it on a bookshelf. Are hyper turbos the best way to grow a bankroll? Probably not. What skills are required to become a top 30 cash game player? Database analysis. In terms of getting lots of simulations and then figuring out the answers to every scenario. Lots and lots of study. Very, very good memory. And devoting your life to it. The thing is most people don't actually want to devote their life to it. Is it worth your time to try to apply poker strategies to play money games? No. Do not waste your time with play money games. Eric says start with the fundamentals, and then when you're ready, go to the either the cash game masterclass or the tournament masterclass. Yeah, I completely agree. What are my thoughts on GG's Omaha series? I have no clue. It's only pot limit pre-flop and no limit post-flop. I don't know. I don't play that game. I mean, I've played a lot of PLO, but I don't know anything about GG's games. When are you stack committed without the nuts in a cash game? Well, imagine you have a good draw, and you put in half of your money on the flop, and your opponent shoves, and you're getting 3-1 pot odds. You need to win 25%, but you have a draw. You got to call it off, right? Yeah, Eric. I don't know who Cole is. Cole is clearly a 55-year-old guy with a 15-year-old child who has a gambling problem. How do you help a child with a gambling problem? I don't know. I'm not a professional. How long does it take to go pro? And what's my definition of a pro? Well, look. What is a pro? Who in the world knows? To be a professional at anything, it means that I think most of your income has to come from that, or it has to be... Yeah, I think most of your income has to come from it. I don't know. Look up the definition of professional. Somebody tell me. Look, I mean, it does not take all that long to get decent at poker to where you can make a few $1,000s a month from the game. Is a few $1,000s a month a substantial income for you? For some people, it's great. For some people, it's not, right? Also, it kind of depends on your situation in life. One of my wife's friends, before I met her, was winning like $300,000 or $400,000 a year playing PLO on Full Tilt way back in the day. And he was a lawyer, making $300,000 or $400,000 a year as a lawyer. Does he quit his job to play poker full-time, or does he keep being a lawyer? Well, the answer is he kept being a lawyer. And it turns out that was probably a very good decision because a lot of those big games died, / solvers came, / hard for Americans to play, whatever. So if you already have many, many good options, you don't really want to try to go become a professional poker player because it's full of uncertainty. Uncertainty is a difficult thing to deal with for most people, especially if you have a very clear, certain future elsewhere, right? They're all forms of pros, right? I'm sure the best players in the world look at me and think marginal pro. I'm sure I look at people who are, winning at $100 buy-in tournaments live and think probably marginal pro. So it's kind of like tough to say what is a real pro and what is not a pro. I think the definition is you make your living as being a professional poker player. That means you can be making $15K a year, right? What's my advice on finding this type of relationship? Wait, let's see. High State Grinders moved up site mentorship. How do you find mentors? Add value. Find people you can help. Find ways to add value to them, and they will add value to you. That said, you can find impromptu mentors like myself. Not saying I'm necessarily the best person for you, but study my content. At Poker Coaching, we have lots and lots of great players. I feel like I'm mentored by many of the coaches there because I spend a lot of time watching their content. Right? Like Giraffe Ganger, #1 tournament player in the world, coach for us. I've watched every single minute of all of his streams, and I picked up a lot from it. Despite the fact we've only talked poker, for a few hours. And that's very valuable, right? Do you offer Omaha 8 high-low coaching? No, I do not play Omaha 8 high-low. I want to thank all of you for being here today. If you're enjoying the show, click like, click subscribe. What percentage of the time does the World Series happen this summer? It will not. There may be some online poker happening. But I hear it's going to happen in the fall, in autumn this year. Check out BrÈINFúEL, by the way. I love this stuff. This stuff really does keep you going throughout the day. How do you stay motivated when playing small stakes cash games? Realize you're not playing to try to win money. You're playing to try to increase your bankroll. A lot of people think that if I'm playing for small stakes, I can't be serious. Well, if you're not serious, it means you don't care about the game. It means you're playing for the money. And I would recommend you not do anything for the money. Because if you do stuff just for the money, you will get burnt out because you do not actually love it. Can you do a little what to expect with Ntt Variants? We've discussed this in the cash game in the tournament masterclass. Go to pokercoaching.com/premium. Check out the Tournament Masterclass, we have a whole section on bankroll management, variants, etc. Shout out to Unibluffer, who got a 17K score this week. Nice job. Also, Coral from Finland and Vivian from Virginia, who both got over $500 as well. Good job, good work. How difficult are heads-up Zoom cash games? I don't know. I'm not playing those. Probably really difficult. What is the shelf life for Brain Fuel? I don't know. Does it have a date on it? I don't know what the shelf life is. I bet you could ask him. I don't have the cap here. I threw that away. What are my thoughts on these solver databases? I don't know. Depends on how good their solutions are. I will say the few I've looked at have kind of bad preflop solutions, which lead to bad postflop solutions. Also, there's a big problem with these predetermined solutions in that they presume the opponent is playing a particular strategy, right? Which the opponents all very often are not. For example, if someone raises from middle position, most people don't 3-bet the big blind nearly often enough. And they don't 3-bet the small blind nearly often enough, as the solver recommends. So if the predetermined solution presumes they're 3-betting particular hands, and they're just not, that's going to lead to very, very poor solutions. That's the problem with solvers in general, is that you need to know how to play poker well and know how to adjust from the GTO strategy to input the right solution, or the right inputs based on what your opponents do wrong. And predetermined solutions just don't do that. Is it true that sites like GG and Party Poker are banning players for using Poker Tracker and other Huds? Well, they don't allow you to use those on either of those sites. They don't work. And if you do use a program that is supposed to not be working, if you figure out a way to make that happen, yeah, they should ban you. It's against the rules. When do you call with Ace King in a cash game? Most of the time. Tell you about this Brain Fuel. Full of all sorts of good stuff. Collagen, MCTs, natural caffeine, vitamin E and C, zinc, glycine. Not a lot of sugar. Some protein. Lots of healthy fats. Yeah? What do you want to know? Where'd your question go? How does it taste? It tastes to me kind of like concentrated Powerade. Basically, long story short, I drink this, Jonathan Little drinks this, and then he's good to go for the rest of the day. I used to drink a lot of coffee, and now I drink almost none. How do you adjust to people not playing ranges? Everybody plays a range. They just may not be playing the range you think they're playing. You have to learn how to assess ranges better. Have we ever thought about adding a post-flop solver database to poker coaching? I mean, this goes back to the thing I just answered, right? I'm always a little bit cautious giving my students tools that are just not applicable most of the time. So I have, like with the shove fold charts, I always said, like, look, I'll give you shove fold charts for 20 big blinds, but you shouldn't use it. Which, maybe I shouldn't even give him. The problem is like, for example, there was another shove fold chart app on the market that charged you. Mine was free, but for some reason people like to pay. And they gave shove fold ranges up to 25 big blinds. And if you use shove or fold ranges for 25 big blinds, you're just going to be torching your money. But I put out my charts with like 15 big blinds or shorter, which is roughly when you should be shoving or folding. And people said, why don't you have up to 25? The other thing has up to 25. And the answer is because I don't want you to torch your money. But enough people said it, so I said sure. And then I gave qualifications like, hey, if you use this for 25 big blinds, you're a fish. All right. You should have been sponsored in some way. I've been offered sponsorships from many sites. I've turned down most of them. Well, all of them for the most part. I really only want to work with good, reputable sites, and there's also a lot of value in not being sponsored by a site. I discussed this on Twitter recently. Whenever you're sponsored by a site, it's your job to represent that site well, and it's your job to agree with what that site does. And I want to be able to tell all of you exactly how I feel about things. And if I'm getting paid by a site to promote them, I sure better agree with the stuff they're doing. And it turns out I don't agree with the stuff that most of the poker sites are doing. If I was to get sponsored by a site, I would probably be a site like Party Poker. I think Party Poker's doing a great job. A+ job. They follow the rules. They have good games. They don't cause trouble. I like what Party Poker does. Poker Stars, Look, I don't have anything against Poker Stars besides they robbed the players back in the day. Whenever they did the Supernova Elite thing, that was pretty bad. It's always a bit unnerving, right? Anyway, I don't know. Like, I'm sorry. I mean, I've been offered deals from like all the American sites, and I'm not representing any of those because I hate to break it to you, they may run off with your money at some point. And I'm definitely not going to vouch for that. You have to realize, if I was to vouch for an American site, and that American site decided to close up and take your money, you should be pissed at me. And if you're not, you should be pissed I took a bunch of money from the site to essentially trick you into putting money on the site. I'm not trying to trick you to put money onto any site. In fact, you listen to me, I tell you to be very cautious putting money on a lot of sites. And that's because there are a lot of people out there who are being paid to try to get you to give your money to an online gambling site, many of which are illegal, unlicensed, and unregulated. And I understand that some people have to pay their bills, and they use whatever assets they have, and their asset is their social media following. I am not taking money from these companies because, I guess I'm lucky to have a decent amount of money to the point that I don't need to pay the bills. Bills are paid. And I'm not trying to sell you all out. I try to give you things that add value to your life, not things that could be detrimental. Okay? So anyway, just because you can get a deal does not mean you should. I mean, I get the idea that a lot of pros even today, they think the goal is to get sponsored. But in my mind, the goal is to always be able to be self-sustaining and not have to rely on somebody else giving me a handout or having people want me to get you to do something, right? I only promote stuff that I believe in and use and like. I don't like unlicensed, unregulated gambling sites, so I'm not promoting those to you. Okay, enough on that. Follow the money, everyone. Follow the money. Oh, wow, there's this thing that happened recently where maybe you've all been following the GG drama. There was someone who left one poker site to promote GG, and then someone who was with the other poker site started really, really crapping on that person for going to GG. I'm not going to get into it. There are so many people out there who are so... Is scummy the right word? Scummy's the right word. To the point that, it's shocking to me how these people fly under the radar, be completely scummy, and some people care, but some people are oblivious. Please, please, please be careful. Please follow the money, everybody. I want to make it perfectly clear. I get paid when I help you get good at poker, okay? If I don't help you get good at poker, I don't get paid. So, hopefully, it's clear that we are relatively aligned here. Whereas most people are paid to get you to put money onto a gambling site so that you pay as much rake as possible. Their job is to get you to pay a lot of rake. Does that sound like you're aligned? Well, if you want to give away your money, I suppose so. All right. How much of the fun and skill is lost from live to online? Honestly, a lot. That said, sites like Party Stars and GG have done stuff that try to make it more fun and more entertaining, more interactive. You see, I have a World Series cash in team tournaments. You see, you play with my family. Yeah, my mom and my dad and I played a World Series poker team event a few years ago. We took 8th or 9th place, something like that. I didn't play much of any of it. I was mainly there to root on my mom and my dad. We did not have a whole lot of strategy. It was a lot of fun. It's funny because normally when you look at a poker tournament, you go there's almost no one watching. But in the team tournament, everybody was watching. The rail was filled with people because for every person playing, there were 2 or 3 people on their team, right? And they were all sweating it out. It was also a great way to let people play the World Series of poker relatively cheaply. I think it was a $1,000 tournament. And if you have 4 people on your team, 1,000 divided by 4 is $250, right? It was fun. My parents made me play the final table. Actually, it was kind of funny. Leading up to the final table, my dad would play. He'd bluff off some chips. My mom would play. She'd win a bunch of chips. My dad would play. He'd bluff it off. My mom would play. She'd win all the chips. Anyway, they demanded I play the final table. I didn't want to play the final table because, I'm hopefully going to make some final tables in my life, and whereas they may not, right? Because they're not professional poker players, really. They play some poker, but they're not professionals. And I realize that's like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to play a World Series final table. But they didn't want to. We showed up, we played. I immediately got it all in with Ace-Jack against Ace-8 and lost. So that was fun. Should you fire 1/4 of your bankroll at the PCA? No. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Yeah, do that. What is the bankroll management for a tournament? See pokercoaching.com/bankroll. Garrison, I don't know what you're asking, man. I recommend meditating before or after a session. I personally do not. That said, I do recommend it. It's a tough thing, right? I realize a lot of things are not for everyone. And I don't think meditation is necessarily for me, but I realize it could be valuable for a lot of people. Like when I recommend American poker sites to people. So that was certainly not for me, but I realize it could be right for a lot of people, right? Who are my heroes growing up in childhood? It's going to sound bad. I didn't really have any. Didn't really have any. Sounds weird, right? And even today, I don't think I really have like a fanboy vibe. How do you handle tilt well? Realize that a lot of the things that happen to you at the poker table just does not matter. Most things do not matter that happen to you. What HUD do I recommend? Hold'em Manager. Check out pokercoaching.com/HUD. Why is everybody like trying to get it all in 100 big billions deep in cash games? It depends a lot on your opponent, who you're against. Mark says, re-sponsorships. Eric Ryzen Lynch took a massive rep hit when he was shilling for Lock Poker, and they ended up stealing all the money. A lot of people took a hit from Lock Poker. Lock Poker offered to pay me very good money back in the day to represent them. I said, no thank you. No thank you. Why? Because you're unlicensed, unregulated, illegal gambling site. It turns out it went down and screwed up a bunch of people for a bunch of poker players. And the tough thing is, well, so I have some inside information about Lock Poker. Basically, they were having these like insane parties where they were flying pros out to whatever island they were in on private jets and having these elaborate parties. And the company was like a 3-person company. So basically, it was taking all this rake money, spending it all on ads and pros. And the pros were like promoting the site, right? And then they would not cash anybody out. So they're taking in all of this money, like a lot of money, taking lots of it in rake. They knew they weren't going to pay out the money anyway, I think. And they were just like living the absolute dream. A lot of people look at that and say, oh my God, that's amazing. What could go wrong? Well, what could go wrong is eventually people are going to want to get cashed out. All right. Let's see. Controversial opinion. You are not that special or great. I agree. I am certainly not all that special. I'm not that great. I'm not the best poker player in the world. I do not have any sort of unique opinions in my mind. I think there's a lot of value in being a good, reasonable human and adding value. And many people think that exact same thing. How long have you been married? I don't know. I think about almost 6 years. Almost 6 years. Maybe almost 5 years? I don't know. A little while. I'm a lucky guy. I'm a pretty lucky guy. Let's see. Is there any criteria for determining you should be playing bounty tournaments or regular ones? Play ones that you have an edge in. It's not really controversial to think that most people are relatively normal. Who is my coach? Oh, I have a lot of people who help me. I don't have a dedicated coach, but I mean, look at the poker coaching coaches. I talk poker with most of them, and they're all very beneficial. Also, I'm an advisor to the Poker Backing Company. They, speaking of Draft Danger, he used to be a Poker backee. And now he's the #1 player in the world. They have lots and lots of great content there. So I do my best to learn from everyone, really. What's my opinion on max late regging? Sure. I mean, if you have an edge, it's probably fine. If you're bad, then it's definitely the right thing to do because you have a smaller edge. Like there basically is little to no edge whenever you're buying in late. Chicken or steak? Probably steak. That said, steak's worse for the environment. Do we care about that? Some people do, some people don't. How should you work on knowing your equity against your opponent's range? Run it. Run lots and lots of simulations. Let's say you make $10K per year playing poker. Is it safe to withdraw it to your bank account? Would it have to be taxed as Bitcoin? I don't know. Talk to a tax professional. My accountant is Teresa Fox at Fox & Associates. Check that out. You're supposed to pay taxes on your gambling winnings. Would it be taxed as Bitcoin, though, if you cash out Bitcoin? I don't know. I don't know how that would work. How did I start teaching? I was learning a lot. A long time ago, there were a few poker forums that people actually gave good advice on instead of spreading nonsense. And I would post hands asking for advice. People would reply. Other people would post hands, ask for advice. I would reply. people started respecting my advice because apparently it was good. And then people started hiring me for coaching. They came to me wanting me to teach them because I guess they liked my advice on the forums. Then we started making videos. And then, well, here we are today. What do you consider a good win rate at Omaha? I do not know. If you had to grind out a living, where would you go? Macau? I would probably go to Miami. Miami or Los Angeles, almost certainly. Or Vegas. Miami, Los Angeles, or Vegas. I don't know anything about Macau. It could be better. How do you find out if you're a tag or a Ntt? Ask someone. How can you determine your ROI if you put in little or no volume? You can look at people who play roughly at your same skill level and see what their ROI is. This is how tournament players do it to some extent because no tournament players put in an adequate amount of volume. So you look at people who you think are comparable to you and look at their return on investments and you compile it all, right? Like there are some live tournament players who can sell action at reasonable markups despite never really having any sort of good score. And they're generally thought to be world class. Yet they've had relatively few scores. What's going on here? Why are they able to sell at a lot of markup, whereas people with lots of scores perhaps may not be? And the answer is, everyone in the know realizes they're playing great. They're just unlucky in the key spots, right? That said, most people think they are unlucky in the key spots, whereas in reality they're just bad. Best way to learn poker if you cannot afford poker coaching membership. Go to pokercoaching.com/free. Go to youtube.com/pokercoaching. There is something like, I don't even know, 500 hours of content there for you. Am I going to have more kids? Probably not. How many buy-ins should your bankroll be for tournaments? Depends on your win rate. See pokercoaching.com/bankroll. What is the book for new poker players? Mastering Small Stakes No Limit Hold'em. It's the only one you need. Well, there that goes. Go to jlpoker.com/mastering. This is the book you need. It's not a little book. This is a real book here. It's a real book. It's a big book. Most of the books you just labeled off are either very old or very tiny. Nothing wrong with good, concise information. That said, if you want to learn how to play poker, you need a guide. Discusses range analysis, right? Check it out, jonathanlowpoker.com/mastering. All right, I have to go. We have a poker coaching webinar starting in 5 minutes. I should probably get ready for that, huh? We are discussing a cool spot today where we check raise the flop 40 big blinds deep after defending the big blind on a dry board. That's going to be a lot of fun. Do you regret choosing poker as a career? No. I have had about the best results I could possibly ask for in life, I think. It's funny, whenever you look at your life, you have to think about all the paths you could have taken. I'm very, very happy with my poker life. I've got to do all sorts of things. Have a decent amount of money. Have lots of friends. What more do you want in life, right? I get to help all of you. Very, very fulfilled with my life. It's important to be fulfilled with your life. And it's also important to not live with regrets. A lot of people do live with regrets, and I realize that. And I don't have many regrets. Certainly I've done some bad things in my life I wish I didn't. But, all you can do is do your best in your situation. Try to right your wrongs and move forward productively, adding value to the world. If you enjoyed this, click the like and subscribe button. I appreciate you being here. If you want to get a discount on poker coaching, check it out, pokercoaching.com/lucky. Someone mentioned that poker coaching was too expensive. You can get a solid discount at pokercoaching.com/lucky right now. Good luck in your games. Have a great day.